Greetings, everybody, and welcome once again to our liquefied petroleum gas safety series. Greetings, everybody, and welcome once again to our liquefied. My name is Yvonne Muchaka. Today, we are looking at gas tanks and their safety conditions. And to help me talk about this, I have invited Mr. Kenny. Welcome back, Mr. Kenny.
Pleasure. Thanks for having me, Yvonne. It's a pleasure. And thank you, viewers, for tuning in.
Excellent. Maybe you can start by introducing yourself fully to them.
Okay, my name is Kenny Murray. I do installations for Bosch appliances, gas mainly, with this current trend of need for gas. And we're here discussing things about bottles.
Excellent. And when we're talking bottles, what is it that I should consider when getting a bottle?
So first of all, we talk about what size bottle you need. This all depends on your consumption. If you are using a 2-plate stove, a small plate stove, you can use anything between your 2 kg bottle, 3 kg. These are for the small appliances. When you get bigger, the requirement is bigger as well and depends on your cooking. You don't want to be going up and down to the filling place ever so often just to fill up a small bottle. So this all depends on your purchase.
Okay, so what are the safety requirements that one has to think about when they need to purchase a cylinder?
So there are two things that we try and look at with sizes of bottles, because you're only allowed a 9 kg bottle indoors. So the safety things about that is, where do you place this bottle? Is it far away from the plate? You cannot put it close to a burner. The other thing is, if you're putting it in the cupboard, it must have ventilation at the top and at the bottom of the cupboard door. This is a requirement. If you can open the door, it'll be okay as well, so long as it remains open. So that's one part of it. The other safety requirement that you need to look at is, if your bottles are old, you need to change them. You need to look at them if they are able to be serviced. This is your valve. If the valve is leaking, you need to change it. These are the safety things that you need to look at. And two, if your things are fitting well, if your equipment is fitting well into the bottle and your regulator fits. This one is a bullnose regulator. It requires a very big nozzle, jet connected to fit in there. These are standard. This is the smaller one, which you'll get all the way up to a 7 kg bottle. Right. So these are the safety things that we need to look at. How portable they are, if it's something that will you're able to carry. We've got different types of bottle all around here, and we can discuss on the next questions that we come through.
Right. And you mentioned something about the nozzles.
The openings.
Yeah, the openings.
So this is a bull nose.
Right.
It's the bigger one. You'll find it's in a regulator. This is what fits on there. Now you'll find these on a 9 kg and going up bottle cylinders.
Right.
From 7 kgs below, you will only get these small. Small. It's called a 3/8 connector, and you'll get the regulator for that. These are standard. You'll find them in a shop, any hardware that is.
Right. Right. And when we look at, you mentioned if a cylinder is old, and you mentioned that if there's a leak like here, maybe it can be serviced and stuff like that. But how can people really ensure that their cylinders are safe for use?
Okay.
Besides this particular leak.
So we talk about leaks, and we talk about whether the cylinder is dented or damaged. Right. If there's any damage, mechanical damage, as in it's been damaged completely, or if there's a lot of rust underneath building up, that's when you then look and say, this is time for it to be serviced. You'll find that a lot of the BP bottles and bulk gas bottles, for instance, which are our local suppliers, most of our gas comes from them. You'll find that when they get your bottle, they will inspect it and check and make sure that bottle is okay. And they will recommend, they'll change it for you. If it's what we call the service model, service exchange, you come with your bottle. Normally it's a 19 kg or the 48 kg bottle. That bottle, they will look at and service exchange will give you a new bottle that has been checked and approved for redistribution. In that case, they will now take their bottle, look at it, look at its condition, and service it, check that it's not leaking, check that it's all okay, and they'll repaint it if it needs repainting. Those are the kind of suppliers you want to be dealing with, because they will be able to check the bottle and return you a bottle that is painted and serviced.
You mentioned the different models. One that I particularly had is the service exchange model.
Yes.
What other models do we use in Zimbabwe in the gas industry?
So because of the boom of gas, the amount of gas that's been consumed in Zimbabwe particularly, we find that there's been an influx with different sorts of bottles, different types of gas, as I mentioned before, and institutions that have their own bottle. As I said, with box, sometimes they'll have your 19 kg bottle, which sits about here, and your 48 kg bottle, which is service exchangeable. Now, those bottles go to the supplier, and they just, instead of filling up the bottle there, they give you a filled bottle, and it will be sealed at the top. It'll have a seal around it, and that bottle is something that we call a service exchange bottle.
Right.
Similarly, this one as well is a service exchange bottle. This is a 5 kg bottle. With this bottle that you've got here, you just go with it to the supplier, give them that, and change bottles.
So if I have something like this, can I go to any supplier?
So good question over there, Yvonne.
Right.
So now with this particular bottle, there's a huge difference. Now, if you can see, this here is different from that. And likewise to that. This is standard. This is a non-standard bottle.
Right.
You require a special regulator for that. This is a clip-on regulator. You just put it in there, and it clips in to this particular bottle. I cannot move this regulator and put it on there. There's no place to fit it at all. So it's only marries that bottle. With this model, it's a good model, but the supplier has to be all over Zimbabwe to achieve that. And I'm sure they are doing that, or they're trying to do that, but these are the type of exchange models that we talk about. And then the other models that we look at refilling, which is grown and blown up into huge proportions at the moment.
Right.
So we've got bottles that anyone can come in to a filling point and fill up their bottle, whatever size that they require. Especially if you go to reputable companies that have pumps, you'll find that you can fill any size bottle that you require, because they have the capacity to do that.
Excellent. And are there any trusted suppliers of these bottles? Because everybody seems to be selling bottles. Even if you go to some refilling centers, they've got bottles that they're selling. Sometimes you realize that they're not exactly new, or they've been painted. They look very nice, but you see that they're really not new. What would you recommend for our consumers at home?
So what's happened along the way is that bottles have been coming into the country, all different sizes, 48 kgs. But I want to stress a point, particular with the big bottle.
Right.
If you find that you've got a bottle with 2 valves at the top, it is not to be used in a domestic setup at all.
Right.
It is not supposed to be used, and I'll give you the reasons why. The reasons why is that when this bottle is only used for filling, it's got 2 points where the gas comes out. And if one makes a mistake of leaving the other one open and using the other one, then you will have an accident happening. That gas will leak from that bottle.
Right.
So we talk about the bottles that are coming in and which bottle to choose from. So some of these bottles that come from outside are redundant. Some of them have passed the shelf life, and you've got to be very careful to make sure that that bottle is serviced and cleaned up. And the best thing to do is to go to the supplier or the origin of the bottle and ask them whether. I'll give you an example with this bottle. This is a BP bottle. It is stamped property of Zimbabwe, property of BP LP Gas Zimbabwe. It also has a standard stamp of South Africa. So
Right.
these are the things to look at, and this will identify a good bottle. Do not choose to buy. The weight sometimes of a bottle tells you that it's a good bottle. If it's light, you just realize that they made it out of very thin material, and that thin material will wear off sometime, and you want to keep this bottle for as long as you can. The other thing is, there are some bottles like these that are coming in.
Right.
We'll call this a Cadec bottle for now, and it probably is. Some of these bottles that are coming are not genuine Cadec bottles. They've been sprayed and they look pretty like the Cadec bottle, but it isn't. With Cadec bottles, they will have identification marks. You go on site and you can find out what identification marks are. For instance, the rimming, the support that this bottle sits on is always found to be on the outside of the bottle. And that's one identification. The color of the bottle and also that print, and also the stamp that gives you that identification. On the valve, you will find that it's also stamped Cadec on some of the bottles. That will tell you that this is a genuine bottle that you've purchased, and you can go back to the supplier and say, I have a fault with this bottle, and they will gladly replace or gladly make sure that they compensate you for whatever has happened to that bottle.
Right.
I've got two special bottles here, and I'll pick up this one in particular. This is a very nice bottle. It's a Norwegian bottle. It looks very light, and it is light for that matter. When you carry this bottle, I think for ladies who want to go and refill gas,
Right.
they will find that it's very light.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Not exactly.
It's not like you'd want. I'll tell you why.
Okay.
It's got some gas in it,
Oh, okay.
and it's full.
Oh, is it?
Yes.
Okay, so it's quite
So
light.
it is very light.
Yeah, it is.
So I'll tell you what about this bottle. There are many features on this bottle. Particularly one that I like is that when you go and fill your bottle, you can see where the gas line is. If I
Right.
shake long enough, hard enough, you'll actually see the liquid flowing in there.
Mm-hmm. Is it safe to shake though?
No, it's fine. It's not heavy shaking. I'm not shaking it.
Okay.
All right. So, like for instance, for this type of bottle, when you fill it up, you're not supposed to fill the whole bottle right to the top. You're meant to leave a little space, 80%. And you will see that every time you go and fill up your bottle, you are going to get 5 kgs. If it's lower than where it needs, then you know someone is not filling the bottle up
Right.
for you.
Right.
The other thing about the safety on this bottle is that if it's engulfed with fire, it does not explode. What will happen to this bottle simply is that it will disintegrate within itself, create little holes around the bottle, and not explode. Unlike that, if that's engulfed in flames for a long protected time, you will get an explosion from that. That's when you need to quickly call the fire brigade, and they don't know how to deal with these incidences. The other thing is we talk about the refilling model.
Right.
So the refilling model with some of these service exchange, I can only get a 5 kg.
Okay.
So I can't go to the filling place and say, please, can you put me 1 kg in here? They have got bottles that are filled
Right.
with 5
Right.
kg. So this
Right.
model of service exchange doesn't really work very well. Someone's worked the whole day, maybe they've only got $2 to fill that
Right.
bottle. But if you go there, they only want you to get a bottle that's filled with 5 kgs.
Right.
And I don't have that money
Don't
to
have
fill.
that, yeah.
But with these ones, I can go anywhere I like.
Put a kg
Put a kg
or
and-
less.
yes,
and cook.
that's right.
Right,
That's
which is basically what most of us are doing in the homes because of our economy. A lot of people are affording to just buy enough gas to use So we are coming again with the Liquefied Petroleum Gas Safety Series, brought to you by the Liquefied Petroleum Gas Safety Association of Zimbabwe. And we're bringing it to you live on Zimbabwe Daily because we feel that the future is gas. So because the future is gas, as Zimbabwe, we need to put in place policies that ensures you, the consumer, is safe. The service providers also are adhering to safety rules so that we can be safe in our use of our liquefied petroleum gas. And as we close, what
This is where the big question comes in. So the bottles that come, maybe some of them are from BOC, South Africa. Some of them are from Total, South Africa. Some of them from BP, South Africa. So we need to try and figure out how to get around this. But the easiest solution for this is to go to a registered Zera filling station or filling point. They will assess your bottle and tell you from there.
I go to a Zera what?
A Zera certified filling point.
Right. Okay.
When you get there, they will tell you that. So if you've got a Bock gas bottle, for instance, if you've got a Bock gas bottle, they will refer you to Bock and you go and rate there. You take it to them and they'll repair the bottle. Bock has got a big... The only thing comes in when you've got a private bottle like this one, it will be difficult to get someone to repair that. The only place that you can do that is at these registered points, and they've got preferred people to repair that nozzle for you, that valve for you.
But do we have people?
We don't have at the moment, but they will be able to assist you in directing you to places where you can do that.
In Zimbabwe?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So we are talking gas cylinder safety, okay? So don't just buy your cylinder because it's shining. Make sure that you check on all the details that are written on the tank to verify that it is actually a proper gas tank. Now, you sometimes, people these days, they're very entrepreneurial, and Zimbabweans have learned the art of doing things perfectly, right?
Yes.
If I paint over this tank, for example, with all this, is that okay?
Painting over it takes away a lot of things. So here you'll find that there's a spray painted tar weight figure,
Right.
which is 10 kgs. Or you'll find that they've stamped it on it. So painting over it will take away the
information,
the logo of the supplier.
Right.
And that isn't good because you've got no reference point after that. You can't tell where is this bottle from, where did it come from, where was it from. But if you go to the proper place, they will say, look, okay, this is our bottle. We can identify a bottle by this or by the stamp.
The number.
Yes.
Okay, excellent. So we don't need to tamper with this
No
containers.
need to tamper.
When I find a proper cylinder and I can identify it with all these numbers and stamps that are on it, I am good to go.
Yes.
And you said in the home, the maximum you can go
Is 9
inside the house is 9 kgs.
But there are regulations around that as well. So you must be able to have, if you're putting it in a cup, you must have a vent below and on top of the door that you place that.
Right.
That will allow the gas to also escape if it's leaking, and then you're able to smell it as well, and also to create ventilations for it to cool down and not be hot in there.
Excellent. Right.
Yeah.
Do I need to have a fire extinguisher in the house though?
It'll be good to have one. It's always standard to have one. Also, we also recommend a fire blanket. If you can buy one, just put one, especially if you're using gas.
Where do I get that fire blanket?
You can get it from the pharmacy. Pharmacy should have that.
Okay.
And if you go to the fire department, they'll also refer you where to get that from.
Right. What is
Any combustible material needs oxygen. So if you starve that oxygen,
right.
that means it'll just go off from there.
Excellent.
Right. The other thing that for maintenance sake,
Mm,
it's always good. We see a lot of bottles coming into filling places,
right.
and those filling places you find it's grease and everything.
Right.
It's always good to now and again give it a wipe with some dishwashing liquid and a cloth. Just wipe it around and just maintain your bottle and keep it good and tidy.
Excellent. Kenny, thank you so much for coming today to give us this live demonstration
Thank
of
you.
what we'll be
Thank you.
talking about when we talk of cylinders.
Thank you.
Right, Zimbabwe, thank you so much once again for joining us on this Certified Petroleum Gas Safety series. We continue to bring it to you because we know that where we are going, we are moving into a direction of using clean energy. We're also advocating that instead of cutting down trees, let's move into this cleaner source of energy. Aina matito, aina problem. As long as we adhere to safety issues, this is the safest energy source that we can actually use for cooking purposes in our homes. Thank you so much for joining me. My name is Yvonne Muchaka, and from
Kenny Murray, thank you very much. Pleasure.
Excellent. Thank you so much for joining us. Join us again next week as we look safety in the LPG industry.